Okay, so I'm going to show you how to amend the pleating sewing to make the best sewing relationships for our pleated skirts. So the first thing we should do is make sure that our pleats are set up as we expect. And I'm going to reiterate that we want to do the pleats folding from right to left. I want the pleat show, or what I was calling the pleat spacing, to be where we begin our pleats. So I'm going to go right to left on my pleated structure here. It's already done, but I wanted to kind of point that out again. And do make sure that the number of internal lines per pleat is set at 3. That's really critical as well. And we're not going to do anything else with our pleat fold window. So it's hit OK when you're done. Okay, so we should see the regular arrangement of red, blue, maroon for all of our pleats. If you see something different than that, then do go back and make sure that you have 3 pleats or 3 lines per pleat selected and not 2. Okay, so now that we've got that done, we are going to do our pleat sewing. And again, I want to reiterate that we're going to go in the same direction as our pleats are folded. So I'm going to begin at the waistband of my yoke, go from right to left, and then I'm going to go from right to left to create all of my 1 to 3 sewing relationships on my pleats. Okay. If it wraps around the edge or wraps around all the way, it means that you need to connect all of your internal lines with a point to the pattern outline to make sure you have segments for each of your pleats. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky because our pleat relationships are not set up exactly as Chloe expects. So I'm going to point out how they are set up. So if we go in and look at our sewing relationships, this pink line represents attaching our garment yoke to the show or the space between our pleats here. And that number should be the same value. If it's different, it's going to gather or stretch depending on what we're doing there. That pleating relationship is fine. We're going to leave that one there. This pleating relationship here, I'm going to desaturate my fabric so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to go to my lightweight denim and desaturate it so you can see a little bit better. There we are. So in the pleating relationship here, or the sewing relationship, you can see that we've got 2 opposing segments here that are each 1/2 inch. That's okay. We want that to happen too because that's sewing our pleat to itself. There is one more sewing relationship that we need to edit. And if you click on that sew relationship, you get 2. The blue is the one we just looked at, which is connecting the left to the right side of our pleat fold. But this pink one here, if you look very carefully, is connecting this part of our pleat to this part of our show, and the values are very different. So it's trying to gather the pleat show into the space of the pleat. And so what we need to do for each and every pleat, I'm sorry to say, this is a bug and it's known, and I was confirmed that with my contact at Chloe, we need to go in and amend this pleat relationship. So making sure that you have that relationship highlighted, go and click the end point and drag it until you get to the blue dot that it gives you. And now our sew relationships are the same length for that pleat. Okay. And so now I'm going to go down to do the next one. I'll show you how you can kind of recognize the correct line. I typically click on between my 2 pleat intake values. I get 2 options. The one on the bottom for me is the one I want to keep. The one on the top, which is the orange one, and I can see it expanding out here, is the one I need to amend. And so once that's highlighted, I go down, click the end of it, drag it until it gets to the blue dot there, and now they're both the same length. Okay, so this is kind of laborious, but you'll get a very beautiful result for your efforts. So I'm going to just do this quickly. And it's nice that it gives you the blue dot so you can be sure that you're going to the right location and the right length. So again, I'm selecting the pleat space, and then I'm selecting the top relationship. You see how that did that? It dragged it over. I grabbed the wrong pleat relationship or sew relationship. Do make sure you get the right one. If you ever don't see a blue dot as you're dragging, it means you probably have the wrong line of sewing. It means you have the yoke to show relationship. And now I've got 2 here, so I'm going to select which one I like better, or see which one I need. That's the one. I'm not sure why I've got so many there, but that's fine. And then this is the end. Okay. And now that that's all set up, I've actually already sewn this and I did not simulate it, but you can see that it's going to lie much, much, much more beautifully when I simulate it this time, just as they should be. And I didn't even have to strengthen it. So when you make that amendment to the sew lines, that will create beautiful pleats that are not gathering your yoke or your waistband. And this pertains only to situations where your show is different from your pleat depth. If we had 1/2 inch spacing between all of our lines, this would not be an issue at all. So keep that in mind. This is only something you need to do when you have a different value for your pleat show or your pleat spacing and the fold intake.